Hey everybody. So I wanted to go over um, a bit of an explanation of what this is. It's taken a bit of time, and it's taken a bit of time understanding exactly what I've been doing because sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. But I just follow the thread, and I keep following until I figure out what I need to figure out, and then somehow, some way, it'll serve me later down in life. But this has been sort of something I've been mucking around with for a good few years now, and each time I do, I develop, I learn, I understand. So what I want to show you here, and I'm just going around, is this is your basic Fibonacci sequence. Now, I've just done a few of these, and I'm going to do one with you now so you can sort of see what's going on here. And so Fibonacci sequence, for those of you who don't know, it's the addition of the previous number. So it's past, present, and future. So you take the present, you plus the past, and it gives you the future itself. Okay, now that's just one way of looking at it, but basically what we have is 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 1 equals 3, and so on. And now what we have is the Lucas numbers. Now you'll see how this doesn't look like the Lucas numbers, and I'll explain that for a second. What we do, and this is why I built this, because I noticed something when I was mucking around with these numbers. I noticed these doubles. And when I originally did this grid, I actually didn't have this code here. And so thank you to Robert E. Grant and his book Philomath. It actually confirmed that that code existed for me. I actually found it. Didn't realize it was a thing, and then like read a chapter in his book not 3 minutes later, only realizing that he'd pretty much written it out. So thank you there. But basically what it is there's 3 sequences within this sphere, okay? And they all have a double digit. Now, if you notice these double digits, they go double 1, double 2, double 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the double 9 was technically missing, and that's why I've added a full ring of 9 here. And I'll explain that one a little later because it's needed to complete the set. Now, for those of you already looking into this, you'll see that there's a bunch of coding within this that just lines up. So we have 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, and so on and so on and so on. Then we have 5, 1, 6, 7, 2. This one might seem a bit odd. I'll explain that one a little later. And then we have what here is probably a little easier to follow, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then repeating to 9, back to 8. So you can see this cycle, and so it creates this toroidal field. Now that's why I put that torus in my photo a couple days ago. That torus is that rotation of flow, that flow of energy coming within the center back out, and it's constantly regurgitating itself and spitting itself out, and then it can obviously reverse its flow. Now, to reverse its flow is an interesting one. So what we have here is a pattern of numbers, okay? And this is, where do I begin? This is the end product of what actually occurred from everything previous to this, and it's probably going to take me a few videos to explain everything that's going on here, but to basically summarize it for you, what we have on the side here, and I've numbered these in what I use within the trigrams. Now, these trigrams are actually, for those of you Naruto fans out there, you'll know what a trigram is, thanks to Neji, but for those of you who are a little more Chinese medicine based, you'll understand that this is the divination of yin and yang across multiple separations. And so I'll explain that a little bit here. So we have yang, which is divided by a straight line, and then yin, which is a broken line. And so what happens is from that we get certain bigrams, which is yin over yang and yang over yin. So that's yang over yin there. And then this would be yin over yang. And then obviously their counterparts, which is double yin and then double yang. Now, this is basically taking from the center, okay, and this is important. The story goes from the Tao, which was basically God, consciousness, the all-knowing, whatever you want to call it. From the Tao came the split, okay, the split of the yin and the yang. So from the 1 came the 2. From the 2 came the 4, okay, and you can see these here. And then from the 4 came the 8, and it's called the 8 trigrams. Now, I'm not going to draw all of them, but basically we have the 8 trigrams. So this one here represents Earth, and then this one here represents heaven, the epitome of yang, the epitome of yin. And there are 8 of them. And so we have this sequence of 1, 2, 4, 8. And from that 8 would then eventually, if you follow that sequence, it creates 16, 32, 64, and so on and so on. And so we have our general doubling sequence. Now, some people have dubbed this the binary code, and that's because there is an inherent code in here, and it's important that you understand it, but not right now. I think I covered it in a previous video. I'll probably recover it again. But what we have here is I've outlined which ones I've allocated to each element. Okay. Now, this is just my own interpretation of this. This is, you can agree to disagree, but that's fine. But what's happening here is, we'll take it over here, for example. And what we have here is the basic Fibonacci sequence. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, and then we get to 8, and then you notice that there's a 4 here. That's because we're digitally compressing the number. So 5 plus 8, when you take the 2 digits separately, will equal 4, which is 15, if you've figured that one out already. 4. Oh my God, I can't even think. 13, my apologies. I've been doing this too long, people. My brain is fried, and so I can't crunch my numbers anymore. Trust me, by the end it was torturous. So anyway, without losing track. So then what happens is, if we follow this code and we keep crunching the number, when we hit the 12th point, what happens is it creates the number 9. And when we hit the 24th point, we hit the number 9 again, which then creates the 25th point, and it's actually the very beginning of the cycle again. It will recreate its code. So what we have here is the Fibonacci code, okay? The Fibonacci sequence, when crunched into singular digits using digital compression, we only have 24 numbers that come up, and they repeat. So there's a repeatability of 24 when we use the number crunching. I told you my mathematical lingo is not the best, so I'm probably not the best person to be explaining this sort of stuff, but who cares? So anyway, then we come across here, and you notice that I started at 22461. Now what this is actually, this is the Lucas code, and this is the Lucas code. It starts here at 213, and then it goes 4, 7, 11, and so on and so on and so on. And when you do the same thing, starting from this point all the way around, it generates a number 9 right here, and then it reverts back to 2, 2, 4, 6, so on and so on and so on. Now, if you notice these doubles, okay, you probably saw it on the previous page. We have a 7, and we have a 2 within the Lucas. Then when we come over to what was dubbed Fibonacci, and that's because they used the code sequence of 314, which is 3.14 is pi. And so Fibonacci starts off with 314, then we go 5, and then we go 9, and then it goes 5, 5. Now notice that double number again. It keeps going in 24, just like Fibonacci, and then it repeats 4. Now these codes are not new. I've been following a few people who have been using these codes, understanding them and so on, and getting a deeper understanding on numbers, Fibonacci sequences, mathematics, geometry, and so on and so on. But what I noticed was these double numbers. And so what I did, and this was the precursor to this, was I wanted to see what happens when I lined up all the double numbers and all of the Fibonacci numbers and so on. And so I will bring you into here. And so what we have here is when we used digital compression of 9 and to 24. So when I use 24, so modulus 24, modulus 9, for example, or 10, however you want to use it, then what we have here is the cycle repeating again, always at that 25th mark. Okay, so it repeats around. There's our Fibonacci sequence. Here's our Lucas sequence. And then here is our Fibonacci sequence. Now, there was one missing, and that's why I said thank you to Robert E. Grant, because I did figure it out only halfway. Took me a couple hours to jot down all the numbers, not a couple hours, but I'm exaggerating there. But then I flipped over his page in a bit of procrastination, realizing, oh, look, there it is. So it saved me a bit of time. And once I punched that number in, it worked. But what I noticed was, if you look here, so if we take the single compression of Fibonacci, we only have a 8 and a 1. Then when we take the compression of Lucas,
we have the double 2 and double 7. There it is there, and there it is there. And notice that they mirror themselves. So notice that they're on complete opposite ends of each other. So when we come around here onto this clock, and here is the 369 code, because its start seed is actually 3-3, and there's a reason for that. When we follow 1-1 Lucas and then 2-2 Lucas, 1-1 Fibonacci, and then 4-4 Fibonacci, it will generate that code from Lucas right up around the corner here. And we notice then within 4, we have the pairing of 5. Within the 2, we have the pairing of 7. And within the 1, we have the pairing of 8. Now, when you take 1 and 8, they equal 9. When you take 2 and 7, they equal 9. When you take 3 and 6, they equal 9. 4 and 5 equal 9. And then it repeats backwards, 5-4, 6-3, and so on and so on. And we get to the very end where we have 9 and then 9. Now, the reason for this is because the logic that states why the Fibonacci sequence works is, as I said, it's the addition of the previous number plus the number itself plus the addition of the previous number. Now, I have to thank Numberphile for cluing me into this one. It can be expressed in a different way. If you multiply the sum and then add the previous number. And so this is what happens within what is called the Pell sequence. Okay? So within the Pell sequence, we have what is called the silver ratio. And if you don't understand the silver ratio, the gold ratio, and stuff like that, basically, if you just come around here, we have a bunch of ratios in relation to specific mathematics. And this ratio here is very well known, 1.618. It's the golden mean, the golden rectangle, the golden spiral, and we see this a lot in nature and a few other places. But what's less common is actually the silver, bronze ratios, and then every other one prior to that. And notice I started at 0 here, and I hit 1, and then I went backwards. But not the point. The point being is that they exist, and they exist for a reason. And so what happens is Numberphile showed me that you could utilize this in a sense of you multiply by 1 and then add the previous number. So what this chart is the multiplication of 1. And then with the Pell sequence, it's the multiplication of 2, which gives us the silver ratio when we divide the numbers. So it approaches the silver ratio, and then there's a bunch of mathematics in here. I still am trying to figure out these numbers. This was just a direct copy from their video, and a little bit of scribblings from my end. And then we have what was called the bronze ratio, which is 3 Fibonacci. So it's taking that seed 3, timesing it by 3. So what I started noticing that, and then because of what I understood here, and I'd already done this, and then I looked at that video, and then I just clicked, okay, what happens if I create this circle across all the numbers? And I mean all the numbers. Now, when I say all the numbers, I'm not talking into the thousands because I didn't need to go that far. And I checked this, and you can crunch my numbers if you like, but what happens is when we start off with the seed of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we follow the same logic here, except instead of just the addition of the previous number, we multiply it by 1. Now, with this cycle, it will be the same anyway, because you're just multiplying by 1 gives you the same figure. However, when you use the silver ratio, which is the Pell sequence, it's multiplication of 2. And so then this brings us back around. Now I'm just going to flip this guy. And so when we do this, when we come up to my number 2, which is over here, so there's my silver ratio here, and that's why I put it there so that I could remember. And what happens is we start off with the 2. So 2 multiplied by 1. So it starts off actually as 1. And so, over here, 1 multiplied by 2 equals 2, okay? And then we don't multiply previous to that because right now there's nothing actually previous to it. It is the seed. So the seed is 1. But it's multiplied by 2. So the coding is 2. Okay, I need you to understand that because there was something in relation to this can only be done by knowing the previous number and therefore the present number. If it doesn't actually matter in this way because the codes themselves repeat and they repeat 4 times each time, every time. So this is, in a sense, the 2 times table, okay, but used in the Fibonacci sequence. We take the 2 multiplied by the 1 here, the 1 multiplied by the 2, and that equals 2. Multiply that by 2 equals 4, plus the previous number gives us 5, and as you can see. Now, what happens? We see another double digit here, but in this case, I didn't follow any specific algorithm, I just started with the seed of 1, then the seed of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, I say that there's only 4 because what happens at number 3 is number 3 hits number 4, and then at number 4, we have a repeating code of 5. So the 5 code and the 4 code are actually the same, and it happens here as well. If we look at the 4 code, we start off with 4, 4, and we go around, and we hit 5, 5 right there. And so then when we hit 5 times 1 equals 5, it's going to follow the exact same sequence. 6 times 1 plus nothing previously equals 6, and then 6 times 1 equals 6 plus previous, which will equal 12. 1 plus 3 equals 9. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Told you my brain's fried. So, too many numbers. But what happens is we don't need to go past now the number 5. Not completely. Now, this is important because I did it regardless, and this was a lot of work. So I did it regardless, and what we have is these sequences pop up. And so the coding of 6 times table, in a sense, or the 6 seed, is the same as the 3. The coding of the 2 is the same as the 7. The coding of the 1 is the same as the 8, and the coding of the 4 is the same as the 5. And we have that pairing again. So that pairing is very important, and it comes up so many times it's not funny. 1 pairs with 8, 2 pairs with 7, 3 with 6, and then 4, I'm going to draw it a little smaller here, with 5. And they always pair together. They don't mix, okay? Well, within this realm, I would say. So then we come up from our 2, and I want to show you the 7. Actually, better yet, we'll show you Fibonacci's again. So there's number 1, okay? So this is the 1 times table. Now, as I showed you that code previously, 1 pairs with 8, and both of them together equal 9. So when we take this number and we go and multiply it by 9, and this is, unfortunately, it's not gold, silver, bronze, or anything. It's actually one of them. It's actually just the 8th one. It doesn't have a naming, so you can name it, I don't know, tin, whatever you like. But we approach this spiral here. So this is a different mean, or a different ratio, so to speak. And so what we're doing is we're following that same logic that we used earlier. We take 1, okay, because that's our seed, and we times it by 8, and that gives us 8. There's nothing prior to that yet, okay? This is important because the seed starts here. And then from the 8, we begin to go. So then 8 times 8 plus previous. I'm not going to crunch these numbers now, but you can do it if you like. And we get the 2, the 6, the 5, the 1. Now, if you're noticing something here, what's happening, we hit the double 8, and then we come around to the end of the cycle. Now, this is the end of the 1 code, okay? And then it's the beginning of the 8 code. And so what ends up happening is we have the 8, sorry, this is 1 over 8, and then the 8 code starts within this cycle as well. So they repeat. But what we have here, if you look in reverse, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7, 8, 9. Come around here. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7, 1, 8, 9. Keeps going, and it's exact. And it is the exact reverse of Fibonacci. Now, that's not a coincidence, because then what happens when we hit the 2 is its exact reverse of Lucas. When we hit the 3, it's the exact reverse of the 369 code when we used it previously. And when we hit the 4, it's Fibonacci. Okay, there's 314 right there. Sorry, the camera went a little fuzzy there. Okay, so what we have here is the reversing of the numbers. Now, I went all the way up to the 8th times table, so to speak, before I realized this, and it was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it was frustrating, because if I'd realized that they were just going to repeat themselves, it could have saved me a lot of hours of work. And so what happens is now it doesn't always occur that the different numbers will mirror each other, okay? And this happens within here. So within here, we have the 3. So the 3 times table actually comes in, it goes 1, 3, 1, 6, 1, 9. But when we go to the 6, we come around and it comes in I'm going to flip you around and show you here. There it is here, 696969. So we have 39393939, 69696969, and it will repeat that code. So I'm just going to rotate you back around. So within this sphere, so to speak, it doesn't actually mirror itself. It does, because when you plot this on a chart like so, we have a repeatability across the numbers. So we have an ascending order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 9. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 9, because the first code is 191919 within this sphere. And just so you can see what I mean, I'll show you the 8 one here. Okay, so when we highlight specific parts, we can outline that. So 1 times 8 equals 8. 8 times 8 plus 1, it'll crunch down to 2. There's our 1 code. And then when we come to 8, 817. Now if you look back over here, there it is here, 817348 817348 It's just the actual flip of it. It's still going in the same way, okay, but it's going in a different manner. And so I've dubbed this direction this way because it's going in reverse of Fibonacci. So what we have here is the 6 points. Now this is why I built this little guy, and thank you to my fiance for her laser cutter. This line here, and this line here create what would be called a star tetrahedron, a Merkaba, Star of David, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. It's just 6 points on a clock. It does matter, but not for this video. The point being is that what happens is we outline certain codes and we outline certain algorithms within here that tend to pop up frequently. Now, if you remember, I mentioned one of these ones here, 5162738449. Now, where that pops up, and I actually came across this in a different way. Sorry, I need to move my leg. Fell asleep there. This is called a Vedic square. And so basically it's the same digital compression that we did previously, but it's on the multiplication times tables. So when we multiply anything by 9, it will inevitably, its value will come back to 9. Hence why the outer square here is 9. But what we have here, if you look at the 5 times table, we have 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10. So put them together, it's 1. But look at the code, 5162738449. Come back around here. And there it is, right there. And it mirrors itself on the other side, and it comes up a few times within that sequence. And so that's a bit of a little bit of fun, because I actually came across this. I woke up, I couldn't get to sleep one night, and I had to draw the times tables out in a number compression, and I did this across 1 to 9. And yeah, I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but I'd made this Vedic square, and then I realized it was actually called the Vedic square. I was like, this is cool. And this is what I mean by my discovery, because it's me discovering things for the first time. Whether these things have been discovered for the first time or not, I can't really say, because I'm still discovering things every single day. I'm still understanding and learning every single day. So you guys can tell me if this is a thing or not, if anybody knows any more about it. But it's pretty cool. And so, as I said, what we have here, now the reason for this, and as I said, it's basically the same concept, but following every single number. And I double check this. When we hit number 9, okay, we have the same coding that we had in 3 and 6, but in a different way. It will only be 9. So when we look at the 6 code over here, it goes 4, 6, 4, 3, 4, 9. So it has 6, 3, and 9 within it. But when we go to the 9 multiplication, so 9 multiplied by 1 plus the previous number, so on, it will only ever equal a single digit plus itself. So it'll have the root value, 1, and then itself. And that is it. And it will do that across all 24. And the same thing happens with every other number. Now, when we do this with the number 10, what miraculously happens is the Fibonacci sequence. it just repeats back to 1. So you could do this across 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And if my theory is correct here, it's just going to repeat itself across this clock. Because when we compress the numbers down, we can only get a specific value. Now, what we have is the codes of every single number here. We have the coding of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And they are completely different to some degree to each other, except for when they mirror. So the 2 code and the 7 code mirror each other. The 6 code and the 3 code mirror each other. The 4 code, 5 code mirror each other. Sorry, that's this way. 2 and 7 is this way, and then 1 and 8 is this way. And so Fibonacci, Lucas, Pi, and the 369 code work in here. Now, what's interesting about the 369 code is that it actually appears in a few of the other ones as well. It's the only code that appears in everything to some degree, except for here in its actual 3, 6, and 9. But if you look over here, it's actually here too, if I'm not mistaken. I can't see, the screen's getting a little dark. There it is there, 3669, 663, come around here, 3669, 663, come around here. So it actually comes up in every single number except for the 3, the 6, and the 9. And that's interesting in its own way. So why did I put these? To explain this one now. And I'll show you something that's coming previously to this, but I've got to be careful because I've only got 5% of my battery left. We're reaching like 30 minutes here. I told you this is going to be a big video. We have the codes of the what we call the metallic means, because what happens is when we get to these big numbers, so this here would be the sequence of 4, but when we get to 4 times 8 and then we hit the 24th mark, they're very big numbers. Like it took me a while for some of them because my calculator didn't want to go that far, and I wanted to double check. And some of them, when I got after number 5 and 6, the patterns just started repeating themselves. It was almost predictable. I could predict exactly which number was going to come up next based on what I was doing with this. But what we have is we have these values reaching each other each time. So and this is what I'm doing here, and I'll finish this and share this one another time. But what we have here is right at the end, and this is just Fibonacci, we have the 23rd number of the Fibonacci sequence is 28657, and when we divide 46368, so that's the final number, and that's the 23rd. When we divide this by this, we reach the golden mean, 16180233988, up to that decimal point. My calculator doesn't go further. I know that it's not exact, but it reaches it to infinity, and hence why the infinity symbol is here. Now, when we take this across all of the others, we reach those same codes at that 24 mark. So the decimal points hit pretty close. By that point, it's almost identical because I can only go to that many decimals. But if we keep going down that cycle, it's going to keep hitting those marks. So the 9 code hits this, the 8 code hits this, the 7, the 6, the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, the 1. They all hit with each other. And then, as I said, what's interesting, and this is, I don't know if this is a thing, but the 8 code and the 1 code are paired, as we said. So there is some sort of synchronicity, and this is my theory. I don't know if there is or is not, and somebody can tell me, or if it's me just stabbing in the dark here just because I've figured something out. I think I'm going to be a next Einstein. I'm joking. But there's a theory that I have that then the phi, which is the golden means ratio of 1.618, will have some inherent connection to the 1.812. The 8.123, which is the 8th sequence in this metallic means sequencing. And so then the silver, which is the 2, will have a pairing with the 7, the 3 will have a pairing with the 6, and inevitably then the 9, and then the 4 and 5 will have a pairing of each other as well. So that's my theory because of just what happened previously to this, and the fact that everything hits that number 9 at the 24th mark. It repeats itself after 9. Number 10 goes back to 1, number 11 goes back to 2, number 12 goes back to 3, and it just keeps going. And so they all feed within each other. And now with this, and it's the final part here, this image is actually not, it's not mine to some degree. The original image only had 3 segments, so 6 six arcs, and it's actually called the Infinity Shield, and it's something that I found on my acupuncturist's table, and it's a Macedonian relic. I need to know more about it, but basically it was a shield that was adorned in Alexander the Great's army, and it had the six spinning arcs in the center, and then separated by 8 spheres with the same thing. So 8 with 1 in the middle. And when I was doing this and I was trying to figure out an image of how do I display all of these numbers, it just popped up in my head. It popped up. I looked at it. It worked, but I had to add the 4th arc. And then within the 9 sequence, I had to add all 8 to make it work. But what we have is mini toruses. So we have those torus fields within here. And that's hence the significance of that previous image there. So I'm going to end that on that. That's giving you a detailed explanation to some degree. There's still so much more I can go on, but I've only got 30 minutes and my phone's going to die. So enjoy if you can make it to the end of this video. And yeah, let me know what you think of my crazy. Bye, everybody.